In this daily drop, I'm going to talk about why I think it makes sense to use a tablet instead of a smartphone for most of your filmmaking and video production applications. So let's go. Okay, it's now Tuesday, January 2nd, and I hope everybody has recovered from New Year's Eve. Some of you may not need to recover. Some of you may have needed to. And here we are again in the barn, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about tablet versus smartphone. Now, it doesn't really matter whether you use iOS or Android for this discussion. It really just matters whether or not the applications that you're using for video production and filmmaking are available on your particular platform. For me, the frustration of using a smartphone for filmmaking and video production based applications it's real. It's a problem because really that device is what we're running our businesses off of. So whether it's SMS or it's email or it's phone calls or it's Slack, whatever it is that you're using, there's just this constant communication that's generally happening with your smartphone. And while it's incredibly handy to use, it is, in my opinion, very frustrating to use when you are trying to fly a drone. You are trying to control your light fixtures. You are making changes to audio devices and things like that that are app driven. So my recommendation would be to get a dedicated tablet and use that as your device that you're using for filmmaking. Load it up with the apps that are appropriate for controlling the things that you are doing. So that could be sliders, drones, light fixtures, audio equipment. Load them all up onto a device. I chose the iPad Mini 6. I think that's what it's called, because I like the fact that it has USB-C and it's a small form factor. And basically, the device becomes what I use for content consumption, but also as how I control devices in filmmaking. Now, there is an exception to that, and I think it's a very important one to bring up, which is that your smartphone is generally a much better device for anything that is camera related. So if you're talking about something like the Blackmagic camera app, you're talking about a director's viewfinder, you're scouting a location and you want to use something like Sunseeker, I think that your smartphone is going to be a better device for that type of application. So for instance, on my smartphone, I have one page that's set up specifically for filmmaking. Now, there is an exception to that, which is I think your smartphone is a much, much better device to use for anything that is camera related. Sure, your tablet probably has a built-in camera, but if you're using a director's viewfinder, you're using something like the Blackmagic camera app, you're using something when you're scouting a location, for instance, like Sunseeker, I think it makes sense to be using a smartphone in that type of application. It really means that most of your apps can be separated in terms of your controlling devices apps on your tablet, and then anything that is camera related, light meters, Sunseeker, for figuring out lighting, anything scouting related, all of those things could be on your smartphone. There will be some redundancy for sure, but I think that if you can create a little bit of separation or full separation for the most part between those two devices, you'll find that when you're using apps for video production and filmmaking, that your entire experience, the entire process is going to be a lot better for you as a filmmaker. That's my 2 cents related to this stuff. It has helped me tremendously to use my tablet as that device for most of those applications. Again, except for things that are primarily camera and scouting related. Don't forget to. And I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.